Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Passing Dimes. Today we have a rising star in the volleyball community that took some time to meet with us. She's currently a member of Team Ontario, played at the Canada Cup in Edmonton, and is already committed to the University of Central Arkansas and still has to complete grade 12. So that's a fun fact for you. Please welcome to the show, Payton Sproule.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thanks for doing this. So let's jump into some more recent stuff. So you were lucky to represent, I shouldn't say lucky, you earned a spot to represent Team Ontario at the Canada Cup, which was a U20 event in Edmonton that was kind of partnered with the FIVB, where you guys would train in the morning with us and then you'd go watch the FIV afterwards. What did you think of that experience?
It was a really, really fun experience. I really enjoyed competing with and against the other athletes from other provinces, just because their volleyball's like slightly different. Because it's not really that different, just like their style is different. Because Ontario has a style, BC has a style, so it's just adapting and learning how to play against the other styles from the other provinces. So that was great. And obviously, getting the coaching from other coaches is great too, because we have to be open minded.
You mentioned different playing styles. One thing I noticed, Team Ontario were pretty lucky that you started with Team Ontario probably in May or
Yeah, it
around
was
then.
May. Yeah.
Where I think other provinces, they compete with different partners sometimes, or they kind of get added to the provincial team a little bit later, so they don't really have maybe the systems that you were used to, because you probably got to go through the TMO system that is a little bit more developed and established than maybe some other provinces.
Yes.
Was there anything you admired from other provinces, or maybe a style of play that you're going to add to your game now that you've seen it?
I really like how competitive BC is. I noticed, and Alberta as well. Those two provinces I found were very, very competitive. Like every single ball they were chasing down, and their teammates were encouraging them. It was just really good to be a part of that environment. So I think learning from that, I think just giving 100% every single time you go out on the court, every single time.
Now, it is a pretty unique environment where you're training beside people who then you compete with. Tell me, from an athlete standpoint, is it pretty inclusive, or is everybody kind of got one eye on the other team going like, oh, I can't wait to play these guys, or I don't want to play these guys? Like, is everybody pretty nice in that environment and trying to
Yeah,
get better, or
yeah.
you push each other?
I find the whole beach environment is very friendly, very outgoing. Everybody's really welcoming.
So you had a chance to watch some professional volleyball. Have you had a chance to see any pro tour events before? See some, I guess, Canadian pros or teams from other countries before?
Yes, I have attended the Pan Am Games to watch beach volleyball in Toronto. Was it? Yeah.
2015
2000.
maybe, or whenever that was. Yeah.
Yeah, 2015, I think, which was a little while ago. But that was a really cool experience. That was insane to watch.
Anything that stands out to you that might be a little bit different from maybe like the U20 level right now in Canada versus like what the pro teams are doing?
I think just accuracy, definitely accuracy. Everyone's movements is just so precise, and all of their shots are just so intentful, and there's limited mistakes for sure.
Did you find a favorite player? Did you watch Melissa a lot? Was there any team that you're kind of like, wow, I can't believe I get to see them over and over again
Yeah,
this week?
Sarah and Melissa, that was so cool to watch because I follow them both on Instagram,
Nice.
and I follow them. I said that twice. I follow them on Instagram. I mean, like, I follow what they do, and it's just so cool because I see them on Instagram, and it's just so cool to see them in real life because it's like they're celebrities. So it's kind of like, oh my god, they're right there. It's just really cool.
Nice. Anything
See
you
them in
admire
person.
about their game that you kind of want to steal and add to yours?
I think just their partnership, their connection. Like they seem like they're really close, and the chemistry is just there. They're like aggressive, they're supportive and encouraging of each other. I just want to bring that into my partnership.
Great. So we've touched on that you have been exposed to some professional volleyball. So to our casual listeners, they may not think North Bay is really becoming a beach volleyball hotbed, but between hosting nationals, hosting Norceca 3 times, and getting their hands on some Pan Am quality sand, like they have a first class facility there. What do you see in North Bay kind of right now as far as structure for kids and adults to play, and kind of where do you see that going in maybe the next 5 or 10 years?
I see a lot of kids coming out to play in the leagues, and some people, even on their own, are going down to the waterfront courts where the event was first held, I think, for the first year. So I think if people keep coming out, then the quality of volleyball will just improve.
Because I think North Bay as a whole enjoys volleyball, right? Like I think Team Ontario has used Nipissing a lot, so hopefully kids get exposed to indoor volleyball there with HBC. The university program does well, the college program does well. So it seems like there's a lot of kids playing volleyball. Do you think having a facility like that in North Bay takes away the travel barrier, where maybe kids can try it and they don't have to come to Toronto every weekend? Like, Is that maybe the best thing that North Bay can do, is just expose kids to maybe a league or an OVA on a
Yeah,
weekend
just
without...
help them realize what options there are. Like, we have really nice gyms, really nice facilities, and people, I think, they don't realize that they have access to that. So I think once everyone understands that, then they can really get out there and just try.
One thing I always enjoyed about the North Bay events is the amount of volunteers, but also the community around it. It seems everybody was helpful. People would take in players. Like, did you get a chance to be a ball shagger or a raker? Like, were you around the event as much as you could be?
Yes, I was a ball shagger for the Grand Slam in the second year of Norceca, and I even had a chance to meet some of the players. They came back to our house. We had Kelly Clays and Sarah Hughes. We had Pepe Tato, Miles Evans, and his partner.
Good. What was it like having, beach players in your house, probably eating all your groceries? And
Yeah, it was really, really fun. We had a ping pong tournament and we were dancing. It was just a lot of fun. I remember it being late at night and I was kind of tired, and I remember saying to myself, you are not going to bed right now with all of these athletes in your house. You are going to party it up until they go.
were they pretty inclusive? Did you get to ask them questions, get to follow them around the tournament a little bit?
Yes, they were really, really nice.
So we kind of let in that North Bay is growing and there are lots of opportunities there, but you as an athlete, kind of being the first generation to come through, can you just cover your travel schedule, like what the winter exists for you? Because I understand you're coming to Toronto almost every weekend, big commitment, big time commitment. Can you just share to our audience kind of what it's taken for you to be a provincial team level beach player, just because the infrastructure wasn't there when you first started?
Yes. I remember trying out for Team Ontario U18 when I was 14, and I wasn't successful at that time in making it, except some of the coaches sat me down and they told me what I could do to improve. So I remember going back, working on those things, coming back the next year and making the team. But during the winter, I had to come down every weekend. I'd have to leave school early, like maybe 2 o'clock on Friday to come down. And then we would practice on Friday night and then Saturday morning, and then I would drive back. And I did that from, when was it? So December to April, maybe? I think that's when that was. And then I made part-time team twice, and this is my first year of being on the full-time team. So obviously I had to move down here. So I'm living with Chessie's mom, my beach partner, living at her house. And that was a big commitment for sure, just being away from my family for the first time. It was really fun though. I really don't regret it. I'm learning a lot and I'm definitely improving just being in the sand every day.
Wow, yeah, those are a lot of valuable hours, but you're giving up a lot. Were your teachers pretty understanding? Are you good at doing homework in the car? Or
yeah, homework in the car is not bad. My teachers seemed just slightly annoyed that I'm not there, but I tried to be there as often as I could. I stayed caught up in my work.
It's good because I think in other sports you hear skiers have to take off for weekends or hockey players might take off. I think the beach volleyball community hasn't caught up that far, right? Where you might be one of the first to actually taking half days for 8 weeks at a time for the whole time. So
yeah, North Bay is a big hockey town too. So normally people are leaving for hockey. So when I tell my teachers I'm leaving for beach volleyball, they're like, "Wait, but that's outside. It's winter. You're playing outside." So like, no, they have facilities. Like, yeah, it's kind of funny.
Nice. And another point I wanted to bring up with you, kind of one being the first kind of role model to come through North Bay as far as starting and becoming a provincial team athlete, NCAA athlete, but you're also giving back to the grassroots already as a young athlete. Tell me about Voodoo Volleyball Club. How did you start that? What is it? How did you even come up with the idea, and how do you find the time to kind of support that project too?
Well, I just felt that North Bay is growing in the sport of volleyball in general, but I thought that I needed to introduce beach volleyball because what I learned was that, like, through my dedication from going down to Toronto, I learned that I love beach volleyball and I wanted to bring it back to North Bay from what I've learned from Timo. I wanted to bring it back, and I thought to do that I could start my own business, start my own camps, and teach kids what I've learned from Timo and bring it back.
Great. So what do you enjoy about coaching younger kids? Like, does it help you with your game? Like, now that you've kind of seen kids do it and correct it, does that help you kind of pick it up faster, or you just like the energy? Or
yeah, they're very coachable. Every kid that I've had, I found that they're really willing to learn, very optimistic, extremely coachable. And from me helping them with their form, like maybe just their arm swing, getting their elbows up, I find that when I play the next day, I'm improving just from helping other people, which is great.
Good. So is that a clinic-based program? Do you guys run camps? Like, what do you see to kind of get the most kids exposed to beach volleyball? How do you guys like to run that?
I do have lots of one-on-one sessions available because I didn't have enough for one full camp. So I worked one-on-one mostly with most kids, and I find that it's better for them just because then it's more concentrated and they can improve faster.
Nice. And how can people learn more about that? Do you guys have a website or Instagram, or how can we get more people just on board with your project here?
We do have an Instagram page, and we do have a website also.
What's your website?
Website is voodoobeachvolleyball.com, I think. And Instagram is Voodoo Beach. I think it's just Voodoo Beach.
Perfect. So with your schedule, what do you see for Voodoo? Is that something that you've kind of started and you'll chip away when you can? Are you at the point where you're looking for staff? Like, how does that work? Where you trying to add up the hours here between in the winter you're commuting and doing all that stuff, but in the summers you're living here full time. So how are you making this happen here? How can you inspire other people to start their own volleyball program?
Well, because of full time, I wasn't able to come back and run my camps like I wanted, but I think I'll be able to offer some one-on-one because I come back August 19th. So maybe I could run a few one-on-one sessions for some people who are interested if I will have the time. But yeah, it was a little crazy with the time. I didn't expect to make full time. I was just a little surprised there.
Nice. So
but there were more people that came out this year than last year, for sure.
Good. So there is a demand in North Bay for a little bit more training than just, say, a league base.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Good. So hopefully you can have a club started, maybe 6 teams per court, and just start popping it out.
I would love that.
Good. And you guys are also, I guess, using the BSC facility there?
Yes, that's what we use most of the time.
Perfect. You mentioned you would be done, I guess, the middle of August. So what is coming up for your season? You played the OVA Beach Tour this summer. You just did Canada Cup.
Yeah.
What's next for you and your partner?
We have 18U tournament and Youth Open tournament this weekend, followed by provincials, 18U provincials, Youth Open provincials, and then we have nationals, U18 nationals.
And sounds like you play twice, like every weekend you'll play Saturday, Sunday. What do you enjoy about that? Is it just changing up the level of competition? Do you see the same teams over and over? Or is that kind of what's helpful about playing one day and then the next?
Wait, sorry, what do you mean by that?
Like when you play 18U, do you see the same teams in Youth Open, or is it kind of
different
level?
Yeah, we do.
Or?
Yeah, the 18Us, we all play up, and then we meet some old TMO athletes, like who played before. So it's the same kind of group of people. So it's easier for strategizing because we've seen them before. So we can just continue from what we learned from playing them last. So it's definitely helpful.
If you had to guess, how many tournaments do you think you've played in this year? Like if you were to treat Saturday and Sunday as one tournament each, so are you playing 12 tournaments a year? Or are you playing
8 to 12 maybe?
Wow.
Yeah. Including Canada Cup, nationals, provincials, or just tournaments on their own?
Those too, yeah.
Yeah, probably 12 for sure.
Good. So how do you plan your season? Like at the start of the season, are you looking to be on the podium right away, or do you kind of have a yearly training plan that you like to follow and peak by nationals? Like when you have so many opportunities to compete, I guess how do you keep focus so it's not just, I'm playing Saturday again, I'm playing Sunday, I'm playing Saturday, I'm playing Sunday?
I think we just work on one thing at a time. We're not trying to medal right away. We're just trying to, because usually we'll be transitioning from indoor season. So first off, we just want to get our beach legs back.
Right.
Yeah. So we set goals. We definitely start by setting goals. Just one thing at a time, like even if it's as basic as like pass off, set to the net, maybe just our attacks need some work, but definitely we're trying to peak by provincials, nationals. We're not trying to start up at the top right away. We're trying to ease into it. Just like it helps us to grow more when we set smaller goals.
Good, I really like that. And you've played with the same partner for the whole summer, is that the plan?
Yeah, Chessie Stanches.
Good, so that's a good way to lay out some goals from the start of the year and keep checking in. Good. Yeah. What are you looking forward to nationals? Kind of an opportunity to play against different teams, or kind of see if the plan peaked at the right time, or what's for nationals to be a highlight event? What do you look forward to the most, I guess?
I think I'm looking forward to meeting the BC team again because they were really, really competitive and we were pretty close with them. So I think if we just either get a little closer or maybe even pull off a win, then that'll be really special for me and my partner for sure.
So you're kind of our first guest on the show who can really walk us through the NCAA recruiting process. And for you being an early commit, can you take us back to the very beginning, just so our listeners can kind of understand? beach is growing in the NCAA, but not every school has a program, right? So how do you get identified? How did you pick your school? Do they come watch our tournaments? Do you have to go down south? Like, take it from square one here. Walk us through.
Square one.
What is the NCAA process here?
Well, first of all, I decided what I wanted to do. I remember sitting down with my parents, maybe at dinner one night, and they asked me what I wanted to do past high school. They asked me what my goals were. And I decided that I loved beach volleyball and I wanted to play the sport for as long as I could. I came up with the goal that I want to play in the NCAA, and when I come back, I want to make the national team, and from there, I want to go to the Olympics. And so we kind of set out some goals, like a step-by-step process, so it's not as overwhelming. And so we started by looking at schools online, like in the States, that I could be interested in because I want to major in psychology. So I first checked to make sure the schools had the program that I needed, and then I looked at their rosters, and I just made a list of the schools that I liked, wrote down the coaches' emails, and I started by introducing myself and providing them with film that we would take of the games. And I went down to California for a few tournaments, went to Florida to showcases, and again, just reaching out to coaches, introducing myself, and sending videos. We also hired a recruiter, Kara Hill, my recruiting solutions, so she could put my film on social media, on YouTube, so other coaches could see me online and learn who I am. And I went on a tour of 5 schools. Is it 5? 4 schools. I went to Austin Peay in Tennessee, Jacksonville State University in Alabama, UCA, Central Arkansas, where I committed, and Houston Baptist in Texas. And it was really, really interesting to see all those schools and meet all the players, meet the coaches. It was just a really crazy experience, and I'm just really thankful for everything that's happened.
Now, what was the sense you got as a Canadian trying to be recruited to beach volleyball? Do you think you were at a disadvantage because of how competitive maybe Florida, Texas, California is, or do you think they were open to recruiting a Canadian based on your film? Like,
yeah, they were definitely open. I think some schools find that Canadians are just as or even more competitive than some Americans are. That's just what I've heard.
That's good to hear. Yeah, because I think some of them may not know how established the OVA Beach Tour is and not realize that we have over 3,000 athletes playing.
They all
summer,
just
right?
assume that it's too cold to play.
Right.
Yeah. It's snowing all the time.
Good. So how did you even find out about these showcase tournaments? Was that through your recruiter, or was that just a quick Google search? Like,
Google search, yeah. Recruiter as well.
And you would play with your OVA Beach Tour partner when you went to these events, or did you have to change it up every once in a while?
First showcase I went to, it was a Team Ontario athlete, Elisa Izenga, and I went down with Chessie recently for the Florida showcase. I went to California with Brianna Anton. It would switch up, but it was mostly through Timo.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you have any role models who could kind of walk you through the process? Because as young as beach volleyball is, we have had some Canadians absolutely crushing it, right? Between Megan and Nicole most recently. I think Sophie Bukvig was maybe one of the first to really take a run at it. T is down there. Now Dawn is down there, like other Timo athletes have committed. So was there anyone you felt in your circle that you could ask questions to?
Megan Nash and Sophie Bukvig, for sure.
And what could they help you with? What kind of questions did you want to know from their standpoint?
Just what practices were like, the training schedule, like with strength and conditioning, how it worked with their classes, and I learned that coaches are very flexible at school. They put school first, which is what I like.
Good. And I guess the last one with the NCAA I want to ask about is, what made you select Central Arkansas? Was it the coach? Was it your program of study? Was it the campus tour? Was it everything?
It was absolutely everything. Yeah. I loved my coaches. The campus was beautiful. It had the program that I needed. And I want to get into pre-med as well. And they have 100% acceptance rates into medical school. So that really caught my eye. And the strength and conditioning coach was great. The academic advisor, her name's Jessica. She's amazing. I just really want to make sure that my school is taken care of and I feel at home, which I did.
Good. So now that you've been through the process, what feedback would you give to an athlete kind of starting the process on their own?
I think just definitely take film, send film to coaches, introduce yourself, and don't be afraid to put yourself out there. just try your very best. Don't ever give up.
So with you being on Team Ontario kind of through different streams, like you talked about, you're with the full-time group this year, you've been camp-based. What are you enjoying about training with Team Ontario and some of the other athletes you've been surrounded with?
I find that it's just such a welcoming environment. Every single person is very optimistic and they put your needs first. The coaches put your needs first, which I really appreciate. They ask you at the beginning of practice what you feel you need to work on while including what other athletes need to work on. It's very personal and it works for everyone. I find that's really great. I really love Angie, Eddie, Jason, Nikki, Brett. I love every single coach. They're all amazing.
Good. And what are you looking forward to? So you've already committed to the NCAA, but you still have a big year left. What are you looking forward to, I guess, going into the winter to add to your training? And then next season, like, what can you do to really prepare yourself to be ready to go as a first year?
I'm going to hit the gym, first of all. I got to get stronger. I will probably practice, because I don't have an indoor facility in North Bay, so I'll just have to try to make a gym as beachy as possible, just playing narrow and practicing the proper hand setting, and obviously traveling down on Fridays for my Friday night, Saturday morning training. Just keeping that up again and just giving it all I have.
Now, you made the tough decision to not play indoor club this year. Obviously, that's the best decision for the long-term goals you have on the beach, but was that a really tough decision at the time to finally settle on and say, you know what, I enjoy club, I enjoy my teammates, but the hours I really need to focus on getting better at beach right now?
It wasn't too difficult, only because I'm so sure of what I want to do. I knew that it was the right decision, and it's obviously hard on my teammates because there's only 2 middles and I was the 1 middle, so I was leaving. So that was hard on them, but it was what I need. It's what I need to do to make sure that I'm successful in the future. It needed to happen, unfortunately, but I did enjoy playing with them. I really liked my team, but it was just time to focus on what I need to focus on.
Perfect. Well, I think we've taken a lot of your time. I know you're busy. You got a tournament this weekend, playing double days, and then we're leading into provincials, like you said, and nationals. So if people want to kind of support you on your journey and just follow what you're up to, what's the best way? Your Instagram, probably?
Yes, Instagram. It's Payton_Sproule.
Perfect. Would you be okay if some younger fans message you about your journey and if they have any questions about schools or if they want to follow you in your pathway?
Yes, for sure.
Awesome. I think that's everything we need. Thanks so much for taking the time to do this.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening, and thanks again to Payton for joining the show. Beach Nationals is coming up, so make sure you're up to date with all the players who will be competing. Check out our previous episodes with Jake McNeil, Becky Pavin, Aaron Nosbaum, Anna Dunswen, Roland Bouchard, Chris Tao, MC Lapointe, and be sure to say hello to Dave Cousins and Sean Furneaux, and of course, Josh and Dallas. Please subscribe to Passing Dimes on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss out on any of the bonus episodes. And stay tuned for new episodes coming every Friday. Check out our Instagram for the latest updates. We enjoy hearing from you, so keep those comments coming and leave a 5-star review. Stay excellent, friends.